In the year 867 AD, Ireland was broken up into many small tribal chiefdoms, with the threat of the Scots and Welsh invading Irish land. The history of the Kingdom of Ireland has been debated by historians for years, but with Crusader Kings 3, we now may know the truth. To better understand Ireland's history, we are going to focus on the most important man in Irish history, Dunkard of Ormond, a temperate, paranoid, and deceitful 24-year-old man who inherited the land from his father. Dunkard took the title and went to work on his realm head first. He married a young woman named Ilé from the county of Driel. Shortly after their marriage, he declared war on the neighboring chief of Desmond. Dunkard wanted to make his father proud by expanding the reaches of the realm and unifying the Irish people. But unfortunately, his father died of old age in February of 868, before the war for Desmond ended. The war for Desmond had a new meaning for Dunkard, as it was not just to expand the realm, but to honor his father. After the war, he focused on building his army and strategically planning his conquest of Ireland. One night, while out leading a patrol, a group of hooded figures emerges from the darkness. He recognizes one of them to be his marshal and stepfather, Ximeno. One of his men whispers to him,
"My lord, they are deserting. What do we do?"
The chief orders for them to be captured immediately.
Right this very minute? Do we have to follow them into the woods? But they've got weapons, my lord. My lord, that's my best friend Barney. Do I have to go get him too?
After the small scuffle, all the deserters, including Ximeno, are lined up on their knees. The men know that the harshest of punishments lie in wait for deserters.
My lord, they're only children.
The chief ponders for a moment in anger. He then sentences the deserters to cleaning the latrines for a few months.
Oh, praise God! You miserable bloody mumble-crusted.
The first major change to the heirdom of the throne took place in January of 869, when Dunkard's brother, Legra, passed away from his injuries in war. Since the chief had not had a child yet, the next in line for the throne was his brother's son. But a month later, the chief's wife had become pregnant with their first of many children. Looking to expand their realm further, Dunkard declared war on the county of Ossory in 869. Knowing that his enemy's army had been weakened by failed raids, he seized the opportunity. Right at the end of the war, his first son was born. They decided to name him Baethine. His good fortune continued, for the chief was also made the head figure of Irish culture. This good fortune had run out, however, when he declared war for the county of Leinster. His armies were stronger and better trained, but Leinster had plenty of gold to hand out and was able to pay for a large band of mercenaries of around 1,000 men. These mercenaries, combined with Leinster's army, outnumbered the chief nearly 2-1, forcing Dunkard to surrender and end the war shortly after it began. The chief would not forget about Leinster, as it would become a needle in his side. The next few years go by, and Dunkard grabs the county of Thomond and has 2 more children, a daughter named Cart and a son named Talon. When he finds out his wife is pregnant with a fourth child, he starts to question her loyalty to him. He decides to get a group of his spies to look into it. Fortunately, they were not able to find any proof that Elaine had committed adultery, but she did find out that he spied on her. In 875, Dunkard created the title High Chiefdom of Munster. During this time, he also conquered the counties of Athlone, Ennis, and Emania. He had his fourth and fifth children, a son named Congalach and a daughter named Fine. From here, he would continue taking counties and getting closer to becoming a king. In 878, he declared war on Leinster for a second time, hoping to be successful, as his first defeat was an embarrassment. He commanded his men in battle with nearly a 500-man advantage, but he was defeated by superior tactics. In the battle, his marshal was killed. His men retreated back into Munster territory to prepare for another battle. During their retreat, the stress of the war and trying to find someone to be his marshal broke him. To relieve his stress, he stopped by a brothel. This relief, however, was only temporary, as war was declared on him by the Jarl of Brittany for the county of Desmond. He knew he could not fight both wars, and so he decided that the defense of his realm was more important than his conquest of Ireland, and surrendered for the second time to Leinster. The war with Brittany would wage on for 3 long years before peace would be made. In 881, Elaine was again pregnant. The High Chief again doubted her loyalty to him. He again sends his agents to spy on her, and she finds out for a second time that Dunkard thought she might be unfaithful. Early the next year, Elaine gives birth to their 6th child, a son named Conla. Not too long after this birth, Conla becomes sickly. He is weak and needs more assistance than normal infants. In a few years, he will be healthy enough to no longer need assistance. In 883, Dunkard declares war for the 3rd time on Leinster, after his victory for the county of Mayo. The war is a huge success, with the High Chief outnumbering the enemy 4-1. He finally has the county of Leinster under his rule. After the war, he decides that he needs to split up his land. His realm is too big for him to control alone. He gives his son, Talog, the county of Leinster, and his stepfather, the counties of Ennis and Emania. In 887, the military power, the nation of Sudair, declares war on Munster for the county of Ossory. At the time, Sudair was the most feared nation, since they had the largest military on the British Isles, an army of around 6,000 men. Dunkard's army was only a 1/5 of that size. He decided to just give them the county, instead of wasting the lives of his soldiers. Now, the rest of the Irish land was blocked by Sudair. Dunkard looked towards Wales for future conquest, declaring war for the county of Deheubarth in 889. In 891, Dunkard became the King of Ireland at the age of 49. He would rule for a few more years, taking most of Wales and the Duchy of Cornwall, before dying of old age in 912 at the age of 69. He ruled his land for 46 years and fought in 21 wars, only for what he created to be split into 2. His rightful heir, Beathine, ascends to the throne as the King of Ireland at the age of 42, while his brother, Talok, takes some of his father's land and forms Wales at the age of 39.